If you own a horse, you know the feeling, right? That endless, frustrating cycle of buying saddles, trying them out, and then having to sell them because they're just not quite right. It is so expensive, and honestly, it's exhausting. But here's the thing. You're definitely not alone in this. So let's dive in and figure out why this is so tough and, more importantly, how we can finally get it right.
So, what's really at the heart of the problem here? I mean, why is something that seems like it should be simple, kind of like finding a pair of shoes that fit, so often a years-long quest with our horses? Well, I can tell you the answer isn't about finding some magic brand or a secret perfect model. It's a little more complex than that. This quote just hits home for so many of us, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that shared struggle. But here's the good news. Really understanding why this happens is the absolute first step to breaking that cycle for good. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to break down the three most common and often overlooked reasons you're still struggling. And then we'll talk about what you can actually do about them.
All right, reason number one, and honestly, this is the big one. We often get so focused on the soft padding, the leather, the brand name, but we completely miss the single most important part of the saddle, its internal foundation, the tree. Think of the saddle tree like the foundation of a house. I mean, if that foundation is the wrong shape for the land it's built on, you can redecorate all you want, but you're never going to fix the underlying structural problems. It's exactly the same with your saddle. If the shape of that tree doesn't match the shape of your horse's back, pretty much nothing else matters. And these saddle trees, they're not all created equal. As you can see here, you've got your traditional wooden trees, which are super stable and proven. Then there are modern, flexible carbon fiber ones, which are dynamic, but can be tricky on a horse that's a bit asymmetrical. And, of course, synthetic molded trees, which are light and affordable, but sometimes less adaptable. The real takeaway here isn't that one is best, it's about finding what's best for your horse's specific shape.
So what about adjustable saddles? They sound like the perfect fix, don't they? Well, it's kind of a yes and no situation. Both the interchangeable gullets and the continuous systems primarily adjust the width right at the front of the saddle. What they can't do is change the overall shape or the curve of the tree from front to back, and that limitation is absolutely critical to understand.
So, how can you tell if the tree is the real culprit? Well, look for these telltale signs. If you're constantly feeling off balance, or if your saddle is rocking or shifting around, that's a big clue. An even bigger red flag? Seeing those distinct dry spots on your horse's back after a ride, surrounded by sweat. That's a sign that the tree itself is digging in and creating serious pressure points. Okay, let's move on to our second reason, which is just as important as the first. We often forget that we are trying to fit a static piece of equipment to a living, breathing, and, this is the key part, constantly changing athlete. This one can be a tough pill to swallow, but boy, is it true. Our horses change. A lot. They change with age, with their fitness level, with their training. The saddle that was a perfect fit last year might actually be causing pain today. So the goal isn't really a forever saddle. It's finding the right for now saddle. And here's exactly why they change so much. As a horse gets fitter, their core, their thoracic sling muscles, get stronger, which literally lifts their back up to support the saddle. Their top line fills in with muscle. Even something as simple as a change in their hoof balance can affect their entire posture. We are, quite literally, trying to fit a moving target. Just look at this timeline. In only a few months of the right kind of work, a horse's back can totally transform. That little hollow spot right behind the withers starts to fill in, and their entire top line gets rounder and stronger. Now, this is fantastic. It's exactly what we want, but it also means we have to be vigilant about checking our saddle fit. Sometimes the problem isn't the saddle at all. If your horse shows signs like a really dipped hollow back or has very uneven muscle, they might need some foundational groundwork to build the right posture before you even think about shopping. Trying to fit a saddle to a weak or crooked back is just a recipe for frustration for everyone. And that brings us to our third and final reason, taking a passive approach. Way too often, we just hand over the entire responsibility of saddle fitting to someone else and hope for the best. Now look, getting expert advice from professionals is invaluable, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, nobody knows your horse the way you do. You're the one who sees them every single day. You're the one who feels what's happening when you ride. The real game changer is shifting from being a passive client to an educated, active partner in this process. If something feels off to you, trust that instinct. So how do you do that?
How do you become that active partner? Well, it starts with learning some really basic checks. You don't have to be an expert, just enough to know if a saddle is way out of balance. Then become a super observer. Seriously, just taking a quick photo of your horse's back once a week can show you slow changes you might otherwise miss. And finally, listen to your horse's behavior. Girthiness, swishing their tail, not wanting to go forward. They are always talking to us. These simple habits will empower you to know exactly when it's time to call in the professionals.
So, when you put this all together, what's the big takeaway? It's really about shifting your whole mindset, from being a frustrated buyer to becoming an empowered, knowledgeable advocate for your horse. Your path to success really boils down to these three things. First, the foundation. The tree shape is non-negotiable, so start there. Second, the target. Always remember you're fitting a dynamic, changing animal. And third, the captain. That's you. You have to be the captain of this ship and take an active, educated role in the whole process. When you focus on these three areas, you can transform saddle shopping from this daunting, expensive chore into a really informed and even rewarding experience that actually deepens the partnership you have with your horse. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Right now, is your current saddle truly a tool that's helping you and your horse succeed? Or could it be an unseen roadblock that's holding you both back? The power to figure that out is in your hands.